Yo, what's up guys? It's Zealous. You guys seem to really like the last video I did about covering some cryptids lore, so let's learn some more lore about some more cryptids. Let's hop right into it.
Oh man! Dude! No way!
Shipshack, this one's for you, brother.
Are you kidding me? Oh, dude!
So the snipe hunt began as a camp prank, sending new people into the woods to look for something that they completely made up, and they described it to be bird-like or sometimes furry. It was literally just made up for jokes, laughter, and the hunch just made people feel like there was really something out there. So the awful comes from Appalachian folklore, specifically around West Virginia, and reports go back to like the 1930s. The appearance is described as a massive, terrifying bird-like cryptid, usually silver or white, with huge wings up to like 20 feet, and horns or antlers jutting out of its head. I don't know what jutting means, but I'm assuming sticking out of its head. Some people say it looks like a mix between a dragon and a bird. In 1936, supposedly there were some miners in West Virginia that claimed that they saw the awful flying above the town of Richwood. Others would claim that they'd see it swoop down over roads and hills, startling people, but it was never really known to attack anybody. Its presence was tied to a feeling of like dread or awe. People feel like the awful carries like a dark aura or bad luck. Now this one I had never heard of. I'm talking about the bloop. The bloop was first recorded in 1997 by U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, otherwise known as the NOAA. I'd never heard of that until now. It was detected on hydrophones, underwater microphones, thousands of miles apart. It was like a ultra low, powerful sound that rose rapidly in pitch, completely unlike anything they'd ever heard. What made it chilling is the sound was louder than anything they ever recorded underwater. Some conspiracy theorists think it's tied to ancient kaiju or to government cover-ups. So when I saw this card, I wasn't really sure what I was looking at, so I definitely wanted to look it up. This one is Issitoq. Issitoq is from the Arctic regions, often described as a giant floating eye in the sky. Sometimes it's said to be disembodied. Other times it's surrounded by faint shifting shadows or mist. And they say the eye is filled with like a cold sense of judgment. Imagine an eye in the sky just always judging you. Issitoq is not a random monster, but apparently it's a spirit of punishment. The Inuit, I think that's how you pronounce it, forgive me if I'm wrong. They believe Issitoq watches over the humans, and it hunts those who break taboos, like wasting food, disrespecting animals, acting selfish. And unlike other cryptids, it doesn't lurk, but it's always watching. And get this, when Issitoq decides punishment is due, it descends instilling overwhelming fear and sometimes bringing death or misfortune. This card might only be a 1-star rare, but for some reason it's still one of my favorite. I'm talking about the flying manta ray. They say reports come from the United States, Mexico, and parts of Europe, mostly from the 20th century onward. Witnesses say it looks like a giant manta ray or stingray, but instead of gliding through water, it silently glides through the air. They're usually black, gray, or translucent, with wingspans anywhere from 10 to 20 feet across. Some describe them as ethereal, I think that's how you pronounce it, or living shadows, while others say they look solid or animal-like. And some UFO researchers speculate that they might be biological UFOs, living organisms that inhabit Earth's skies undetected. And some other people think that they could be interdimensional beings slipping into our reality. All right, let's talk about the winged terror of Iowa, also known as the Van Meter Visitor. So, the Van Meter Visitor was supposedly spotted in Iowa around 1903, and they described it to be a huge bat-like creature with leathery wings. And they say it's got a horn on its head that shines a bright, blinding light, and people say it's at least the size of a man. Apparently, it has a terrible stench, and it makes a sound like a giant trumpet. It likes to perch up on rooftops, frightening horses, and shining its light on anyone who gets too close. It was rumored that there were some townspeople that saw it fly into an old abandoned mine, and they shot into it, and they said that there was not only one, but two creatures, and it could have possibly been a parent and an offspring, but after that it vanished and was never reported again. Now let's talk about one of my favorite, Polybius. So Polybius apparently started around the early 2000s, and it was an arcade game that just mysteriously appeared in a few arcades around Portland. It was said that the game was highly addictive with strange hypnotic graphics, flashing lights, geometric shapes, and odd mind-bending gameplay. Some players reported amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, hallucinations, and sudden changes in personality after playing it. Some of the players ended up getting so obsessed that they could not stop playing. And not to mention the creepiest part, men in black suits were apparently said to be collecting data from these machines, not money. People started to have theories that Polybius was some sort of MK Ultra government experiment, testing psychoactive effects of subliminal visuals in video games. Alright, this one is in honor of my brother Grassman. It says that the Grassman sightings go back to the early 1800s. People described it to be a large, ape-like humanoid 7 to 9 foot tall, covered in dark and brown hair creature. People say that its face is more human-like than a Bigfoot's, and it's got glowing eyes. So apparently the Grassman gets its name from weaving grass into small nests or huts in fields and forests. Unlike other Bigfoot legends, Grassman has been reported in family groups. They're not just alone. People say that they stalk cornfields and farm edges, and even wooded areas, trying to scare livestock or travelers. I think some people may really enjoy this cryptid. I didn't know the lore behind it myself. I'm talking about Squonk, the saddest cryptid. Apparently it's Pennsylvania folklore, first written about in the early 20th century. It's said to have come from logging camp tales in the hemlock forests. The Squonk is said to be They say that the Squonk is a small, ugly, wart-covered creature with loose, saggy skin, and because of its appearance, it's in a constant state of sorrow. Imagine that. The Squonk spends its days weeping uncontrollably, leaving behind a trail of tears. It usually hides from humans, and it stays in swamps and dark forests where it won't be seen. And get this, they say if you corner a Squonk, it'll dissolve into a puddle of tears. And last but certainly not least, this one's crazy. Mananannggal, the self-segmented vampire. I absolutely love this card. So, the Mananannggal is actually Philippines folklore. They say by day, she appears as a beautiful woman, often blending into normal society. Apparently, the Mananannggal's purpose is to hunt and prey on pregnant women and their unborn children. They say that victims are often left weak, sick, or dead by the morning. But the Mananannggal's biggest vulnerability is her abandoned lower half. If salt, garlic, or ash is sprinkled on it while she's away, she can't reattach and she'll die at sunrise. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Maybe leave a comment what cryptid you guys want me to cover next. And like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.